Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. And in today's Cover 1 film room feature, we're going to take a look at wide receiver Curtis Samuel, the Bills' new wide receiver. During the end of season pressers by Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, you heard them talk about adding speed and adding explosiveness. And Curtis Samuel brings both of those things. He's a very dynamic wide receiver, one who played under Joe Brady in 2020, a season where Samuel had his best season when you're looking at the advanced metrics, whether we're talking efficiency metrics or explosive metrics. He did a little bit of everything for the Carolina Panthers under Joe Brady. In this video, we're going to take a look at his skills and traits over the last few years from 2020, 2022, and 2023. We're going to show you how the different coordinators used him in different roles and in different alignments, sometimes on the boundary, sometimes in the slot, sometimes in the backfield, and how his skills and traits, whether we're talking explosiveness, his elusiveness, his speed, any of those main traits that make him the dynamic player he is, from different alignments and in different roles. And finally, we're going to show you how Brady used him in 2020 and what we can expect from him in the Bills offense and how he can add a new dimension to the Bills offense going forward. So without further ado, let's jump into the film. So Curtis Samuel is going to be a mismatch when defenses want to play man coverage, kind of like you see here in the low red zone against the Bears. The corner in the slot rushes off the edge, so now the safety is taking over Samuel, and you can see it looks like he is expecting some kind of switch between the boundary corner and himself, like maybe this guy's going to sink off and then he's going to drive on the in-breaking route. Well, there's a miscommunication there. Samuel is wide open for the touchdown. Here's another man coverage beater. Samuel in the slot, this time against the Rams. I mean, he completely freezes that guy with a hezzy release, then that burst vertically, uses his eyes to hold him, and then snaps his head around, balls on him for the touchdown. The ability to separate with his speed and acceleration or burst is evident on film, especially against man coverage. I think he can add that dimension to the Bills offense, that run after a catch ability, that burst and acceleration and change of direction. Look at how he puts his hand down to keep his balance as he makes that cut right there. Makes that guy miss, and he had him boxed in, outside in perfectly. This should be an easy tackle right here, but he makes that guy miss with his elusiveness and change of direction and gets a few more yards after that catch. Watch him on the screen. He's coming across the formation in motion. He quickly gets his screen against the Browns. And once again, he should be boxed in. This defender should be able to box him in. Here's the alley runner. Leverage route right here. It should be a minimal gain. Watch what Samuel does to this defender. That jump cut to get back inside, to make that guy miss, to get a few more yards on this easy pitch and catch. I mean, goodness, look at that cut. And that defender, he knows it's coming. He's looking at the quarterback, and then watch him look out to Samuel. This should be minimized. This should not have gained as many yards as it did. On this play, he starts in the backfield. They motion to empty. And he's just running a man coverage beater, a mesh concept across the field. And he just uses the momentum of that defender in trail against him. So here's the mesh, two crossing routes right there. Little separation, catches it. And he knows this defender is in trail, and he's going 100 miles an hour across the field. So what's he do? He uses it against him. Puts on the brakes and gets upfield for several more yards. At the end of the season, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott talked about explosive plays and getting those chunk plays from their offense to alleviate those long drives and how difficult it is to do that and sustain that. And I think Samuel's going to help them in many ways, especially on these deep crossing routes. So drag routes like you saw in the last play on mesh, these deep crosses that you used to see John Brown and Cole Beasley run, especially versus man coverage. And just look how he works through both of these levels. So he knows that this guy's coming down to bump him. He has this guy he has to work through as well. He's very good at avoiding disruption and maintaining his speed. And then you see that deep cross and throw and catch on the back end. Just great stuff. This is a route that I think the Bills have missed, and honestly a route that Josh loves throwing. He loves throwing those deep crosses to those speedy wide receivers, and hopefully we can see that back in the Bills offense. And it's important because especially when teams go to man coverage, kind of like you see here. You can run different routes off that, make it look like a cross, but then run a corner or a blaze out. In 2023, the Bills saw man coverage 32.7% of the time. That was first in the NFL. There are going to be plays like this where Samuel's going to sell that crosser. You can see him bend inside. And you can even see his eyes looking inside, selling that. So that defender, what's he do? He shuffles inside to maintain that leverage. And what's Samuel do? He snaps it off, chops that hand down, breaks to the pylon. Really nice throw for the touchdown. This is a route that he runs so well because he sells it with his body language. Look at him. Quickly releases inside of Kenny Moore, an all-pro slot corner. So what Moore has to do is open those hips and start to get into that trail technique and worry about going across the field with only a single high safety look. So he has to open up. And Samuel uses that against him. Snaps that off. Back to the boundary. On just a little flood type concept. I mean, he sells it so well with his speed and body language and creates a ton of separation on these type of plays. Here's another one, bottom of the screen, trip set. Look at him avoid that disruption right at the line of scrimmage. Work inside that defender, sell vertically up the field, and then that little shake at the top and route to the corner. Sick route here. Look how he maintains his speed from the line of scrimmage, vertically up the route stem, and then right at the break too, he's even making that with speed. And he's able to do that, and the quarterback's able to hit him in stride so that this defender can't break on it and make a play on the ball, and he's able to still get yards up the field. The nuance that he shows on these type of routes where he's selling that crossing route, right there, that little jab inside, look what it does to the defender. Takes inside leverage, uses that route pacing and different speeds, and then you see his helmet peek inside right there, and then snaps it off to the boundary. I can't wait to see this route concept and this type of route running with the speed that he has for Josh Allen and creating separation and creating big plays and chunk plays for the Bills offense next year, especially against man coverage, something they see a lot of. His versatility doesn't just come on where he aligns, whether it's in the boundary, the slot, or the backfield. It's also how versatile he is against coverages. You saw him beat man coverage several times from the boundary and from the slot. Watch him beat zone coverage, this time a quarters type look against the Rams. Pretty simple corner route right here, but you can see how he can get down the field in a hurry versus quarters coverage, the type of coverage that is meant to deter and minimize these explosive plays. This time he is to the bottom of the screen, empty set versus quarters coverage. Watch this route. Look at him attack that safety, spin out of that into a return route, and just get that first down. This is third down here. He's to the bottom of the screen. Defense is once again in quarters coverage. So these two guys are quarter players. This is your underneath defender watching the running back. So as he bends that route vertically up the field towards the safety, that corner's like, okay, I can bail off. It is now your man because he's in your zone. He sells like he's going to be breaking inside, and then look at him break down at the top of this route and get out of that break. Ball's on him. This is a very nice route versus quarters coverage. Again, showing that versatility as he gets vertical against the safety and snapping off that route as a boundary receiver against zone coverage. Here's another quarters variation, this time cover 6, bottom of the screen, 2x2 set. Takes the top off the defense, and the quarterback really trusted him on this play. Once again, I'll show the cover 6 look. So this is the cover 2 side, this is the cover 4 side. So this safety should have a deep quarter. This corner has a deep quarter. And honestly, with the middle field open and he's running a post, this is probably not a ball that should be thrown. But look at the speed and how he attacks the ball. Quarterback trusted him, and he made the quarterback right. So that versatility is huge when you're talking his physical measurables and speed, but also if you're talking how he can help the coordinator and quarterback beat coverages, whether it's man coverage or zone coverage, like you see here, especially those type of coverages like quarters and cover 6 that are meant to minimize big plays. I know a lot of fans are worried about his ability as a boundary receiver when you're thinking wide receiver 2, someone opposite Diggs, because primarily he's been a slot guy. He's only been out wide 45% of the time in his career. But I think with his speed and what Joe Brady can do with formations, I think they will be able to use him on the boundary a bunch, especially on these type of routes where he's just running takeoff or go routes, or is running a clearing route and he's the alert. And we'll get into some of the details and things that coordinators can do to keep him away from press. But let's look at some boundary reps from him the last few years. Here he is, bottom of screen, isolated. He's running like a corner route. And typically the Commanders like to run this versus man coverage, but the defense drops out into a Tampa 2 post snap. And just watch how he finds a soft spot in this zone between 3 defenders right here. So he's supposed to be running out to this way, but obviously this guy's going to bail and this safety is going to drive on him. So what's he do? Kind of throttles down, finds that window, and the quarterback hits him right in that soft spot. Very good adjustment by him against that coverage post snap, and then to make that catch. Here it is versus off man coverage. Going to sell that crossing route again, use his eyes, and snap that route off to the boundary as a boundary receiver. A 3-by-1 set. He's to the weak side of the formation. He's essentially the X on the line of scrimmage. And look, he shows that he can sell that route as a boundary guy, snap it off, separate versus the Cowboys for the explosive play. Matchup for linebackers and safeties. So watch how he works through the defensive line level and the linebacker level here. It's something I talked about earlier. Look at how he cuts up inside of this edge player. This edge player a lot of times wants to get a piece of him and disrupt him so that the linebacker can get out there, and it really buys him some time. Watch him elude that defender, get up, and now he's got that two-way go in or out on the linebacker separation at the break point. Once again, in the backfield this time against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys know what's coming. Here he is getting vertical and then bursting to the middle of the field for the big play against the Cowboys. It's so sudden, and they know it's coming. They absolutely know it's coming. Look at the hesitation and then the acceleration and catch over the middle. You see 5 down defensive lineman right here. Linebacker is heavily inside. If this is man coverage as it appears to be, that linebacker is out leveraged. Well, that's because he doesn't have the running back. He doesn't have Samuel in coverage who's in the backfield. They have an edge rusher peeling off in this man coverage call, and obviously that's a matchup. Here's another variation of it. 3-by-1 set. He's the running back. He's the guy in the backfield next to the quarterback. He gets matched up against Baker. See Baker almost slow down because he's expecting that in-breaking route once again. Slows down and then boom. Over the last 4 years, he's had 90 rushes for 437 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he averaged 4.9 yards per rush. And typically, he can be involved in this way to start as the gimmick guy, as that jet action, orbit reverse type guy. And this is where his speed stresses defenses horizontally, especially when teams are in man coverage. You see number 2 traveling with him, and he out leverages the entire defense because of that speed. And so now the tackle can get out into space, pick this guy off so that Samuel can cut off of him for the touchdown. So you can see how that can stress teams, especially in the low red zone, when teams want to play that man coverage, and how his speed can get on the perimeter, and his elusiveness is quite good for a wide receiver. You see that cut inside, then back out for the touchdown. Over the last 4 years, he's had 12 runs of 12 yards or more. So 12 explosive runs. 5 of those came in 2020 with Joe Brady. This is a different concept, just an outside zone, but you can see how that speed and elusiveness show up on this play. He runs really hard, has pretty good contact balance, but look at how he gets to the perimeter. He gets the edge, has the speed to get all the way outside the numbers, and then makes defenders miss when he's out in space. He's a dynamic player, whether in the passing game or running game, and he's able to make guys miss routinely. Same type of concept here. Low red zone, wide zone run. This time it's forced back up inside, and he takes it. Very good read here. This is outside. That's an automatic cut back up inside. Allows his center to get on the linebacker, puts his helmet down, gets his pads low, and drives for the touchdown. Here's a trap play, a quick hitting play up inside, something the Bills need to do a lot more of. It's been a Cromer special for many years. The Bills didn't really get it going all that much last year, but it's a quick, short trap right there on that D tackle. getting north and south, and you can see he can get north and south in a hurry on these type of plays. It's something they did in Washington. It's something they did in Carolina. And with his speed, you can get chunk plays, as you'll see here on these trap calls. Look at the smallest of creases, and he can find it. He's very reactive. He's very twitchy. I mean, look at this cut right here. He reads these blocks so well and has that jump cut ability to find daylight. Here's more of a counter tray type look, but we'll look at that patience and how he lets that unfold. It was a pretty sick run and read by him. The Giants do a good job of kind of, flowing to the ball, boxing this in, and you can see the footwork, the running back type footwork right there. It's beautiful. Cuts back up inside, buys some time, allows those blocks to unfold, and then boom, runs the ladder to the boundary for the first down. All right, guys, so you're probably asking yourself, all right, so how did Brady use him in 2020? So we've shown you some clips of that, but I want to dive in a little deeper into how Brady used him and how he could use him in Buffalo next season. But before we move forward, smash that like button, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the Cover One YouTube channel. All right, let's go. One of the ways a coordinator can help a wide receiver that may struggle versus press or disruption, kind of like Samuel, is by using formations, not just concepts, to keep him clean, especially if they are expecting man coverage. And so you see that Samuel is the boundary wide receiver. It's a trip set, but it's tight to the tackle. So based on the splits or alignments, the defenders have to back off a little bit because they have to worry about rubs and picks in these type of concepts and formations. And you can see how getting him off the line of scrimmage, not on the line of scrimmage in this trip set, gets him off coverage, and how he can pivot away from that defender. That defender is thinking that Samuels is going to attack the middle of the field with speed and run away from him, right? So what does he do? He commits hard, and then boom, you see Samuel pivot out to the boundary. So formations and alignments and splits are one way that you can get Samuel on the boundary. Similar type thing, 2020. Trip set, bottom of the screen. Watch this little pivot by Samuel as the boundary receiver, selling that speed out. And then look at him plant, work back to the middle of the field versus zone coverage, and then use that speed and that acceleration to get up the field to gain some yards after the catch. After this little pivot, I mean, look at this green, and he hits it full speed for the first down. Formations, splits, they're important. This is how you get a guy like Samuel open and away from press coverage. Here's a corner route from a similar type set, trip set, 3x1 set. Stems inside, corners in off coverage because they're in man coverage, and then snaps that route off like we saw earlier in this breakdown. As I said earlier, Brady is not afraid to use him in the backfield. Not just on some of those runs like I showed you earlier, but in the passing game as well. You see the rail route, up the numbers for the explosive play. Good adjustment to the ball there. Does this play look familiar? Jet action across the formation, and you're getting the vertical route from the running back position up the numbers. This is something Brady ran in 2020 when he was with the Panthers, with Teddy Bridgewater and Curtis Samuel. It's also something he ran last year against the Chiefs. James Cook, here comes the jet action from Sherfield. James Cook on the rail, inside the numbers for the big play. So this is a play concept that Brady ran in 2020 with the Panthers, but he also ran it last year with James Cook for the touchdown against the Chiefs. Curtis Samuel is 100% going to help the Bills get explosive plays, to get chunk plays in the passing game. In 2020, under Brady, again, his best season, he averaged a 23.7% explosive reception rate and a 1.94 yards per route run, the highest across both categories over the last 4 seasons for him. In 2023, he had a 1.53 yards per route run. In 2022, it was 1.28, and then 2021, it was 0.73. So 1.94 was number one overall over the last 4 years. Explosive reception rate for him was so good under Brady. Not so much the last few years. In 2023, it was 14.3%. In 2022, it was 13%. In 2021, a shortened season for him, it was at 0%. So His best season was under Brady, whether you're talking explosive plays or efficiency plays and efficiency metrics. And one way that I think he's going to help Josh Allen in this offense go is on play action, plays down the field, whether the quarterback is under center or shotgun. This is a play the Bills used to run a bunch of with John Brown and Cole Beasley. You know, double post, X cross. So you're having a double post here and you're having the cross by Samuel. Once again, the boundary receiver, but the alignment is tight. That allows him to get across the field with his speed, and then you see the great adjustment on the back end for the explosive play. Same type of thing, working across the middle of the field, and then watch this adjustment. Back shoulder, great adjustment and body control by Samuel on that deep crossing route off play action. It's something the Bills and Josh Allen haven't done enough of. According to Pro Football Focus, Josh Allen only ran play action 22.3% of the time. And when he did, his yards per attempt was a plus 2.9. So every time they ran play action, they were getting nearly 3 more yards in the passing game. He accrued 13 touchdowns. He registered 12 touchdowns off of play action and only 4 interceptions for 1,400 yards, 9.5 yards a clip. He was one of the most explosive formation, tight split. What do you think he's doing? He's running that wave concept, double post, X cross. Another good adjustment off of play action by the Panthers under Joe Brady as a coordinator, and the pass down the field to Samuel. Here's another variation, this time more of a flea flicker. You see 2 tight ends in on this play. Tight alignment by Samuel, pacing, selling it, and then getting across the field with his speed to beat that post. Thanks for tuning into that breakdown. If you like that breakdown, please smash that like button, leave us a comment, and at the very least, subscribe to the Cover One YouTube channel. I'm Eric Turner, owner of Cover One, host of the Film Room, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Until our next breakdown, go Bills.